Okay, I just hit record. This video is about Keepa and how to use Keepa to interpret um, whether or not you should buy something. And if you're dealing with replenishables, or if you're dealing with large quantities, it's how much you should buy. Keepa will we can look at all of that. All right, we got an ASIN from David. Awesome. Thank you, David, for doing that. We'll jump on that ASIN here in just a minute. So when you're looking at shoes, when you're sourcing shoes, everybody's going to look at a little bit different data. But one thing about this category of clothing and shoes is that all of the data that feeds into the sales rank doesn't come from the individual style or the individual size. It all goes into the same sales rank, okay? So that's really important. So when we're looking at sales rank of this shoe, I think it's ranked, 4,800 in clothing. That's an awesome rank. So you can see that this shoe is just flying off the shelves. Well, the question is, how many? And also, what's your cost? And what's the buy at and all that. So let's just talk about some basic definitions here, okay? So one of the most important features is the green line on Keepa. I know this is super basic, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands. The green line is the sales rank. So as you see the rank go up, that's slower sales. As you see the rank go down, that is faster sales. Normally, whenever you go to view Keepa, it's going to look like this when you first open it up on your extension browser. So you click more historical data, that drops this other box down. I'll talk about this in a minute. Some other features, and a lot of different data shows up on different products, right? So not all the same data doesn't always appear. The little red triangles are new third-party FBA. The pink ones here is the buy box, which is important. So whoever's in the buy box, that's what gets it. So it could be that a merchant fulfilled person doing free shipping gets that buy box because FBA is priced too high. The list price, that is what is like on the back end of the listing. Whenever the listing was created, they said that this item sells for 65 bucks, okay? So sometimes you can get some suppressed buy boxes because the price is too high, or get a deactivated listing because the price is too high over the list price. And so that all depends. New third-party FBM is the little blue square. If you're an FBA seller, here's the data that I look at. I'm an FBA seller. I don't do a lot of merchant fulfilled. I'm looking at the current FBA prices and also the buy box. So cool little tricks that you can do. Let's say I wanted to look at a year worth of data. I can do that down here and look at a year's worth of data. Let's say I wanted to zoom in on like the month of July. I can click and drag and zoom in and look at a little section of data there and check that out. That's pretty fun. Let's say that you jump on the listing and you're looking at 3 months of data. That's what typically pops up right here. And the sales rank is not there. It's like, man, there's no sales rank. But if you scroll around, you'll actually see that there is sales rank. So you can click this little button here. Same thing on your phone. Makes that rank appear. Same for, all these other features, buy box, new third-party FBA, all that fun stuff. This down here is really important, the little blue line. So you see that, for the last 3 months, there was actually a time frame where this was out of stock, in stock, out of stock. So this is the number of offers. You don't know if it's FBA, merchant fulfilled, Amazon. You don't know who the seller is. You just know that there's offers. So Keepa is keeping track of the number of offers that are out there. And this is really helpful, especially during Q4, This is really also helpful for seasonal. This is helpful right now because what this is saying is that I would say that this shoe probably came from Marshall's and it was out of stock for a while. And then it came in stock at Marshall's, and you can see the number of sellers that flooded the market with this shoe. And that is for a specific size, I believe. I think I'm looking at a size, I don't know what size I'm looking at actually. Let's just call it a size 9. So we'll let that Keepa chart update there. So one cool thing about Keepa is that for each variation, it will be keeping track of the number of offers. So the size 9 may have this number of offers, but the size 10 may have a different number of offers. And so that is helpful information. If you see, the price going up, then that could affect it. So let's just play a little game and say we just scan the shoe in Marshalls and we want to decide whether or not we want to buy it, right? So it's $63.09 is the sale price, and we can buy it for, let's call it 35. So we'll make 10 bucks. That's not the most exciting thing in the world, 31% ROI. So you're going, okay, do I want to take a 30% ROI? How fast is this thing going to turn? I will take a lesser ROI for a quicker turn. So there's 15 sellers on here. The question is how many are buying for the buy box? That would be the number of FBA sellers. So there's 14 FBA offers. We're not talking about this tool today, but this is AZ Insight. This is what I use for my calculator. If you would like to see a little webinar about this tool, let me know. We've also posted an affiliate link about it in the past, so you can search in the Facebook group. Okay, back to the point. The question is how fast are you going to sell it out? So if we wanted to, we can go and check out, whether it be Jungle Scout or some other velocity tool, and see how fast is this shoe moving. One way to see how fast it's moving is just by looking at the rank, but really the way to know is by looking at the reviews. And so we need to know, I'm not going to dig into it because I want to cover a lot of ground here today, but we need to look at the number of reviews on this particular color and on this particular size. And so whether you're doing OA, RA, or wholesale, you need to be able to figure out how many reviews are there. And there's really just a guesstimate. Like you're not able to actually pin down, okay, this shoe is selling 300 units a month. Like there's just no way to pin that down with the data. What you can do is have a guesstimate of like, okay, the overall rank this shoe is selling is, let's say 2,000 units a month or 1,500 units a month. Well, you can't just take that number and divide it by the number of variations. It doesn't work like that. So you actually have to look at, there's that 80-20 rule and everything. There's 20% of these variations that are pounding out 80% of the sales, more than likely, whether it be the average sizes, the average color and all that. So you can't just go, oh, well, this shoe's just blowing it out of the water because of the parent rank. Not true. Definitely it helps to know that it's a black shoe. Black shoes sell really well. So there's that. But again, when you're interpreting how fast it's moving, that's basically with reviews. With Keepa, one of your takeaways from this is it's moving quick. The price is stable. The price is hovering around that $61 range. So if you said, hey, I need to sell this shoe at 89 to 82, it's going to take a hot minute for the price to jump back up to that because there's this flood of sellers that came in. A few ran out of stock. It's stabilized at around 15 sellers here. So, and that price is stable. It's not really, it dipped down to 49. So what you want to ask yourself is, where's my break even? So if we sold the shoe for 49 and we had to buy it for 35, then we would probably be breaking even or losing a little bit. Losing 84 cents. So it's really important to know, like, where are these prices at? And again, this is the most recent 3 months. If we wanted to look at a year's worth of data, then we could, and kind of see historically what has happened. But again, the shoe's definitely an arbitrage shoe. So there's that. Okay, yeah, so if we said we wanted to sell it for 89, then, and that's like the ROI, like we wanted to get closer to that 90%, 100% ROI, then I personally wouldn't buy it. Like if your threshold is, I don't take anything less than 100% ROI, then you wouldn't get the shoe because it's sitting at the 63 and you have no clue how long you're going to have to wait for that price to jump back up to the 89. So that's really, no, that's how you would interpret this data, is you don't know. Other little thing down here is the rating. So that's the review count. So that green line down here at the bottom, on the bottom graph, is the rating. So, if you have a rule where you don't buy anything below 3 stars, then you would use that there. The rating count, so you can see that the number of reviews are just going up, 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 up. That's pretty cool. Not 100% necessary, but it just depends on the type of item you're looking at. All right, a couple questions. David, I'm going to grab your ASIN now and jump into that. If I can. And let's see, Angela said, question about OA. I've been receiving the list for a few weeks now, and a lot of the items show good sales for the last 1 to 2 months, but when I look at last year, it was a lot lower at this time. I'm wondering how to determine if these types of ASINs are good or more risky. Okay, so I'll check those ASINs out here in a moment. And then another question, do the Keepa statistics link give you an idea? When you say the Keepa statistics link give you a good idea, what do you mean by that, Alfredo? Let me know what you're trying to communicate there. Last question, do the pink triangles represent each time the listing sold via buy box? No, the pink triangles just represent when Keepa grabbed the price off of Amazon. So you can see how that price is changing. In theory, what people would say, on sales ranks that are this quick, I'll just try to zoom in a close window. Technically, you would say that every dip would be a sale or multiple sales. So you don't know if it's one sale or multiple sales. The more active the line, the more frequent the sales. So I wouldn't, you really want to go off of a sales velocity chart. JungleScout.com/estimator is free, so you can use that as well. And yeah, again, I'll type that in here in the chat. JungleScout.com/estimator, and you can. I think I spelled that right. I may not have. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. So you're talking about statistic right here. To get an idea of estimated sales. So that, again, it has drops. So what Alfredo is asking there is, he's saying he's using this drop number at the bottom, and that's actually a new piece of data. I want to see that came out recently, maybe a year ago. And so 40 a month drop, so there's 40 drops in the price, and then in the sales rank, there's 111 drops. But you wouldn't take that 111 drops in the sales rank as there was 111 sales. What you would look at is what I would look at is the average 90-day sales rank or the average 30-day sales rank, and then figure out what that velocity is. So the average, or even the average 180-day. We'll go with the average 90-day, 7,079. So let's go to junglescout.com. /estimator, and what was it, 7,079. Word and clothing, $21.90 a month. So it's not 111, it's $21.90 a month that are moving each month. Again, you don't know what that spread is because you've got a lot of variations here. And so what you'd have to do is go and look at the variations. And I'm not going to let it load completely, but on AZ Insight, you can look at the variations and then the review count and then the review percentage. This takes a hot minute to load. So especially being on Zoom, it's going to go really slow. But you can look at the review percentage and say, okay, in theory, if there's, 2,190 sales a month, and then you can multiply out that percent on the on the ASIN. So let's just pretend that one of the really good movers is selling, let's say it's getting 5% of the reviews. In theory, it would be getting, again, theory, guys, theory. It would be getting 5% of the sales. That's 109.5 sales a month if something is getting 5% of the reviews. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that's making sense. Again, it's theory. So if you're doing arbitrage, you're probably not going to find 110 of these size 9, Adidas. But if you are sourcing things with a lot of, inventory, then you can decide, do I want to buy 10? Do I, that kind of stuff. So again, let me know if that makes sense. If not, I'll try to explain it further. But you can see right here that review percentage is calculating. And you can see the total number of reviews are, coming up. So, all right. Let's see here. That makes sense. So Moyen is saying, learn that Jungle Scout is not the best for books, but is it reliable for other categories? I don't source books, so I can't say. I use it often for any categories. I take these things with a grain of salt, though, guys. Really, in terms of like what you're trying to determine as far as like sales velocity, a lot of it is going to be experience over time. These charts and stuff, they're ranges. So like Jungle Scout is going to have a range of things. And so, if Jungle Scout is saying, hey, this item is moving 300 units a month, well, that's just that particular snapshot. So you do have to look at the average 90 or the average 180 day rank. But, as you are looking at that average rank, you can determine, like, if it's a seasonal item, you have to play with the season. If it's a sandal and summer's coming up, it's going to spike. If there is, and winter's coming up with the sandals, then, it's possible that they're going to drop off. All right. So this is David's ASIN here. All right. I didn't see a thumbs up that it made sense. Okay, good. Did the Jungle Scout stuff make sense? Check the buy box impact for intermittent inventory. Let's see. Okay, so you're talking about right here, David? I wonder if I can, David, do you have a, this would be like completely off the cuff, but do you have a microphone? If so, I can give you the ability to talk and let you jump on here. That would be great. So, viewing only today. All right, that's fine. No worries, David. All right, so this Keepa chart is crazy slow. Not really moving a lot. It's Egyptian cotton. I'm not going to analyze the listing, but there are, very few keywords on here. So the question would be, why is it moving slow? We're not going to dig into that. But my first inclination right when I look at this is like, wow, this thing is like not selling at all. One reason is it was out of stock for a little while. So when it was in stock, there was a few sales that were dropping in, and then it was out of stock, sales went up. So one of the things that you can notice on this Keepa chart is when there's an offer in, wasn't really moving right here. So this is only 123 days old. So that's important to note. Looking at the time frame, we're only looking at 123 days. And so it's been getting indexed into Amazon's catalog and all that good stuff. So there's a sale here. So when something is moving this slow, you can almost count the sales because there's very little activity. So there was one sale here when the rank went to 433,000. Let me just point out the rank was 716. One or two sales happened, and then it went to 433, and then it jumped up to 580. So my point with this is, don't only use sales rank as your sourcing model. because you never know if a sale just happened or if it's been a while for a sale to happen or whatever it is. Faster movers, it's not super important, but it's more for the slower stuff once you get into these higher ranks. And we are, by the way, in the category of beauty, okay? So these ranks are pretty high for beauty. Okay, so there's two offers and then went down to one, and you can see how that sales rank was kind of just climbing up, and then a sale happened, and then out of stock. Maybe a little sale happened there, a little dip. I'm not sure. It looks like it was just like a sale, and then maybe it got removed. I don't know. And then so it's out of stock, so that sales rank climbed up. Sales rank is climbing, out of stock, in stock. Sale happened. And then in stock, sales are happening, and then out of stock, and then the sales rank goes back up. So like if I was outsourcing and I found this item, you know, I wouldn't buy 30 of them. I would buy 5, maybe, you know, and send them in and expect to sell them within a month. So what I like to do is purchase on a 30-day turn rate, depending on the item. That's for arbitrage. For wholesale, it varies because, you know, you could be getting a big sale or a discount. Maybe you can get larger terms or better terms if you're buying more things, free shipping, all that kind of stuff. So there's different variables out there as to why you would want to order more than a 30-day. Maybe it's coming from China if you're doing private label. You know, you're ordering a 6-month, range of inventory. But again, for arbitrage, you know, like if you ordered 6 months of this inventory, let's look at the statistics here. So average rank is 373,000 in beauty. So once you get to those higher sales ranks, then Jungle Scout's not super helpful. So, you know, that's when you're just kind of have to count. Like obviously there are sales, but they're saying like no sales, which isn't true. So this is also, let me just point out, like if you scan this in the store and it came up as 101,000 and you didn't look at Keepa, you would be deceived in thinking that it sells 60 units a month. And this is why you need to look at average sales ranks, because this is definitely not selling 60 units a month. That was at its lowest sale point, you know, or I'm sorry, the highest velocity, sales velocity. So this is, you know, a good reason as to why when you are sourcing, you want to look at averages, guys. You know, and again, you looked at the average and you would be like, oh, this thing's not selling at all. Well, not necessarily true. Take a peek at that Keepa chart and just look and say, okay, it was out of stock, but when it's in stock, a couple of them move. So, you know, that's where we're at on that. And you'll also notice, again, there's not a lot of data because there isn't, right? So you got the buy box, new third-party FBA, and that's it. All right, good stuff. So there's a few other ASINs. If you, again, guys, post your ASINs here. Got a few more. Let me get this one from Angela. Keep the questions coming. Okay. So let's check out this cup. What's our rank? It looks like it's moving pretty well. Kitchen and dining. So this is really important on Keepa. You want to pay attention to. Sales rank history is of parent ASIN and not the specific variation. If that is not showing up, then the sales rank is for the actual variation, but it is not. Again, we're back where we are with clothing and shoes. Sports and outdoors are the same. A few other categories are like this, where the sales rank history is of the parent ASIN, not the child variation. Okay, I'm sorry, the child ASIN. So we have this silver cup. or I'm sorry, it's not a silver cup. This beige, whatever color it is. Um, and the question is how fast is it selling? One thing that I like to look at on these is to see, is it selling? So this bottom graph where we're looking at the number of sellers, when you see these sellers go out of stock and in stock and out of stock and in stock, that means they're going, 6 sellers and then 5 and then 4, 3. When you're seeing that happen, that is, and you're also seeing sales rank movement. So even though we're seeing sales rank movement on the parent ASIN, and this blue line of the offers is for the child ASIN, that is still an indication of there are sales going on. The only other possibility is that people just keep removing their inventory and, out of Amazon, or just, which is not that in this case. If we saw that there were 30 sellers on this listing, like 30 offer counts, and then it just went boop, like no more sellers, that means something happened to the listing. Maybe there was an authentic claim that happened to everyone, or an IP violation, or maybe there was too much damage going on. Like this is a glass item, so if there's too much breakage, then Amazon could just like shut it down. It all depends. So at any rate, this is good to see. And again, if we're looking at buying this, when we see that price up there, that buy box is a stable 22.95. If we saw the buy box dip, let's see the lowest price. Amazon sold it a long time ago. This is an old listing. So this listing's 3,200 days old. That's an old listing. So, the highest price, this is really important when you're looking at these statistics. There's the Amazon column. That's when Amazon was on the listing. They haven't been on it in a long time. You can see the dates there. 2016 was the highest price. 2013, that was when they had their lowest price. The new offer, this can be FBA or merchant fulfilled. So you can see the lowest offer was 89 cents. That would be a merchant fulfilled offer doing like 89 cents plus $7.99 shipping or something like that. The current offer, 2103, that's very self-explanatory. The highest offer, more than likely an FBA seller, 2319. So again, it's helpful to know what the highest price ever was on this, because if you're saying, hey, I want to sell this item for 28 bucks, well, the highest it's ever been is 23. So you really don't know. That could be out of the range for the sales to occur. So it's helpful to know that. And then the averages, again, guys, are super helpful. Average 90-day, 120-day, or 180-day price ranges. Used, we're not going to talk about. Sales rank, again, self-explanatory, averages. Now here, there's 35 drops a month. When you're dealing with lower numbers, lower sales velocity. And another way to say that is if you're dealing with a higher sales rank, then your number of drops can be counted a little bit more accurately as the number of sales. When you start getting into really fast moving products, really low sales ranks, those are the same thing, then you can't really count drops. So that's why I just say, like, get used to using Jungle Scout. Now, again, the higher the rank on Jungle Scout, the less reliable Jungle Scout is, okay? So what's the current data on this, right? So we're looking at February 8th. It's February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way. We see the number of sellers going up. So there was one offer here on the 7th. On February 9th, there's 3. February 13th, now there's 6, okay? So typically what you'll see happen is the number of sellers increasing and then the price decreasing because people don't have their repricers set appropriately, or they just have them set very aggressively. I'm a fan of matching buy box price, not penny dropping. If you're penny dropping, you'll see what they call that race to the bottom. And it's very, like, if you're looking at a Q4 listing, like right at Black Friday, there's this Black Friday deal. Before Black Friday, there's 10 sellers. After Black Friday, there's like 50 sellers. And you'll see that this blue line just skyrocket up. and then you'll see the sales, then you'll see the price go down with it. It's just this very similar thing. It's very common, and all it has to do with is the sales velocity of the item and the amount of inventory on that listing and the amount of sellers, really. So if some of those sellers have 1,000 units or 500 units, well, they need to blow those out of the water. They need to get them out. So they might be super aggressive. They might even take a loss. And so they'll just keep being really aggressive and driving that price down. Arbitrage, the unfortunate thing with arbitrage is you don't know what anybody else's cost is. So if somebody's getting discounted gift cards, or maybe they've got a deal or a closeout or whatever, there's a whole lot of things that can happen as to why their cost is lower than yours. This is why I don't compete with Amazon, because their cost is often lower than mine unless I'm getting it clearanced out and I know I can beat them. Typically, I need at least 100% ROI if I'm going to compete with Amazon. So all of that is coming out of this Keepa chart, right? So would I get this? Yeah, I would. It depends, obviously, on my cost, right? So, you know, $12.65. If you can buy it for $6, you're looking at 100%. If I bought it for $9, you got 40% ROI. Bought it for 10. 10 would probably knock me out the park. Wouldn't do it. You're gonna have to bubble wrap this sucker and do a bunch of other stuff to it. So, wouldn't do that. Okay. Questions? So do you not look at how it was selling last year? No, because this is not a seasonal item. It's a mug. You know, I'm not really concerned about what it did last year. If this was a St. Patrick's Day item and I'm going into St. Patrick's Day season, and I'll pull up a seasonal item and we can analyze that. Then I would be looking at last year, how did it do? Only for seasonal items, then am I going to go back a year and check it out, because I want to see what it did last year. Right now, this is a plain Jane deal, right? Like if we look at all year, you know, at some point, I don't know why the buy box was 1547. So somebody maybe had a wholesale deal or a bulk lot, whatever. But I can promise you this, these third-party FBA sellers probably weren't getting a lot of sales, more than likely, being that the price was $7 cheaper for the buy box. So they ran out of stock, whoever that person was, or they got wise and just jumped the price up. And so, yeah, good deal. Glad that helped, Angela. All right, let's see. I tell you what, I'm gonna look up a seasonal item and we'll keep it current. Let's look up St. Patrick's Day, because that is coming around the corner. Let's go into home and kitchen, because there's a lot of home and kitchen stuff like that. Let's see. Okay, I might pull that one up, Angela. I'll let you know. Oh man, Zoom is slowing me down. Sorry, guys. Let's see if we can get her to work. Here we are. Okay, look at that. We got a Jimmy. I used to sell a lot of these guys, and not anymore. Not this particular one, but a lot of Jimmy. And when they first hit the retail shelves, it was awesome. And now there's just a boatload of competition and just not worth it. All right, so people start buying St. Patrick's Day stuff, you know, January 1. Actually, it really started like right around Christmas time. So when the heat really turned on was right around January 5th-ish. So let's pretend that we're looking, what I like to do for seasonal, especially for wholesale, is I like to buy about 3 months out. Okay, so if I'm going to buy St. Patrick's Day right now, I'm really late to the game. Like I should have had my St. Patrick's Day in around December 15th or so, to be ready for the game. So 3 months out, I like to do you know, basically get like, I like to swing it in one punch and just like send everything in. There's storage fees there. It depends on space. I'm limited on space, or I have been. I actually, I just opened up a prep center. Side note, if anybody needs some prep services, I'm in Louisiana. Got 25,000 square feet now. So if you're looking for some prep. So the, you know, when you're looking at this, we're talking about going back a year, really, because we're in the middle of the season. We need to look at all of it. So when I'm looking at all the data, you see how the sales rank, it drops and then up, drops and then up. Nobody's buying this really throughout the year. I guess this year I don't know, it sprinkled throughout the year, but it didn't make it rain. Because it's a St. Patrick's thing. Like, I don't know why anybody would really buy that, maybe if they're Irish. So what I like to do is zoom in to this window of time where, you know, it's like, okay, when did the sales start? So for this year, let's see, this was 2019. And the sales really, I mean, they really picked up quick this year. So this, according to this, the first sale didn't happen until January 19th. But here's the deal. If you're looking at this new count offer, you can see that the price was $109.99. So see that there at the top, $109.99, where it says new. So nobody's going to buy this thing for $110 whenever you can buy it for 32, right? So the sales, if the price was lower, it would have been selling back here. But because the price was so high, nothing's happening. Now, boom, dropped the price down to $42.99, and sales are happening. $42.99 is the buy box, and then right around Feb 1, June 30th, it was, sales just went berserk. And so what you're going to do is calculate your velocity for this. So if we looked up the date of St. Patrick's Day last year, it was March 17th. So right at March, and this is a decoration, so they tend to not sell, they stop selling a little bit sooner than like a shirt or something like that. But I would say March 12th was when that was like the peak, and then you can see it start to climb a little bit. Still selling some, but it started to peak, and then it really started to slow down. I mean, obviously after March 17th, nobody has any need for it anymore. And so there's a few trickles here and there, not much, and then it went bye-bye. And ironically, I don't know why it kept selling. That's pretty wild. Maybe because it was priced so low. Tony, I just saw your comment about merchant fulfilling. Let me know what you're referring to. Sorry. So what I would do here is, you know, calculate the sales velocity. Again, this is for wholesale. I would calculate the sales velocity, kind of like the average. And really the only way to do that, you can't, like, there's no way to put in dates right here. So the only way to do, like what I do, is I just run my mouse over and I just kind of see, okay, like what's that average rank? Because right here, like, it really picks up speed. And it looks like it's around that, wow, 1,500 range. 2,000, 3,000. So you can play conservative. The other thing that you're looking at is the number of sellers. This is a really, you don't have a crystal ball. It's kind of a dicey game to play. So, okay, so Tony, you were referring to, sorry, the interruption. Yeah, this is for wholesale. So retail arbitragers have fast check-ins and can still get in on this one. You're correct. If you're retail arbitraging this, you can send it in. But if you're wholesaling this, you're way late to the game. Like, you could have got in way before. So yes, sorry, I should have clarified. This is for wholesale, not for, like, this is if you have a supplier and you can pick up the phone and call the supplier or email them whenever and place your order. So We're looking at about a 2-month window of some really decent sales. This year it was like a 3-month window, so you would have ran out of stock. Um, the other kicker that you're looking at is the number of sellers. So again, you don't know how many are FBA, like you don't know how many are vying for the buy box. You just know how many there are. So what I assume is that like all of them are just like FBA. So let's say there were, 8 to 9 sellers. There's 10. So what I would do is play conservative, and I would say, maybe I'm the 12th seller. So let's just pretend that 12 sellers are all vying for the buy box, which is not the case. I would say that maybe 3 or 4 are vying for the buy box, and also assuming this item is profitable. So I would look at that average rank and divide that number. Let's just call it, so even though there's spikes of like 1,000, 1,500, I'm gonna call it 3,000. So we'll say 3,000 and home and kitchen. 3,360, that is a month. Okay, so if we're looking at 2 months of good sales, it's not that low the whole time, but again, we're playing conservative. So I would say, given that there's a few days where it's in the thousands, it's pretty good. So let's just go with this number, 3,360 times 2. That's 2 months of sales, 6,720. So 6,720 units of this item, in theory, are going to move in a 2-month period. If we divide that by 12 sellers, us being the 12th seller, that would mean 560 units would be our expectation of sales that we would catch. It's possible that you could get more sales than that. It's possible that you could get less sales than that. It all depends on who's coming in to play the game this year. And that is where you don't have a crystal ball. So if you said, dude, this thing's blown out the water, over 6,000 units a month, I'm ordering 2,000 units and expectation they're going to get a third. Well, let's say that this wholesaler, anybody can get. If anyone can go and get an account with Jimmy and just, and buy them, then, and Cat gets out the bag and a lot of people jump on them. Let's say this, last year there were 10 sellers, 12 sellers. And then this year, this is pretty consistent. Jimmy's a big brand, so they're going to be a hard brand to get. Probably impossible unless you're like Walmart or Home Depot. So let's pretend that the number of sellers jumped way up to 20. Well, now you've got a lot of units, and if all of them did the exact same thing, there's too much inventory to support the sales velocity. And so there's some truth facts that are about to come out, and that is someone's going to be stuck with some inventory. It's just going to happen. And so you got 2 options to play at that point. If you ordered 560 units and so did 20 other sellers, that would be 11,200 units that everybody has collectively. Again, this is a theory, guys. This doesn't actually happen in reality. Somebody's going to buy 1,000, somebody's going to buy 200, somebody's going to buy 50. There's going to be different numbers, but the big boys are going to come out to play and have over 1,000 units and be super aggressive for that buy box. So what I would do is not wait until the last moment and hope that they run out of stock. I would get out. Just get out, take the hit, and be done. Now, in theory, when you're going to do this, you play conservatively. Maybe you order 100 units or 200 units. And so you can play around and wait and get that buy box up higher. This sales velocity, you could sell easily if you got the buy box 100 units in a day, very easily, when it's at its peak. So good stuff. Let me grab a sip of water here. And we'll keep going. So that is seasonal, guys. Seasonal for wholesale specifically, but let's say, if you've got a retail store and you've been selling the same thing year after year from that retail store, talk to the manager. Look at the velocity, see how much you did, see how many other sellers were coming in, and see if you can order cases of an item, even from a retail store. Online arbitrage is going to be a little bit more tough to do that, but definitely for wholesale, um, when you're competing with a few other sellers. All right, so we got another ace in here. Put me to work. I like it. Okay. Harry Potter. Got a ring. All right, so first thing that stands out to me is there's a merchant fulfilled seller in the buy box. That is very important. Next thing is that Amazon is in and out. I personally do not like to see Amazon on Keepa consistently for the last 90 days. So we're looking at a 3-month chart. I'm not a big fan of this. I'm going to look at all the data. Whew. We don't have a crystal ball, guys. We do not know when Amazon, like, yes, they've been in and out, but who's to say that that they don't have these on order and they've got 1,000 of them coming in. That is very important. That was the inquiry if I should get in while they were out. So I'm not a big fan of this. However, it's not a complete, like, no, I wouldn't buy it. It's that I would not go deep. I would be very shallow on the amount of inventory. If I said, oh, I can move 50 of these, I'd buy 5, right? Just to stay risk adverse for me. I've been burnt by this so many times with Amazon trying to play the game of, like, hey, they're definitely out of stock, and they get in, get out, whatever, and then I get in and Amazon drops the price. So what I would really do is look at, what is Amazon selling it at? They sell it at $6.95. Right now, that buy box is $10.88, $10.37. Okay, so if the buy box is $10.37, and let's say my cost is $4, so right now I can make $2.35 at a 60% ROI. That's not too shabby. But let's say that Amazon comes in and they drop they go back to their normal price of $6.95. What is the worst case scenario? One, you're probably not going to get the buy box, and you're probably going to have to go lower than that $6.95 to get the buy box. And you're automatically losing 55 cents. Is that the end of the world? No. Is it worth you to risk the 4 to potentially get 55 cents negative out of it, to lose? Or, you could make 235. So you just have to weigh. So 475 is the buy cost. Yeah, so you lose $1.30 if Amazon came back in. So again, you have to play that. It's a seesaw of, like, is Amazon going to, are they going to come back in or not? You could look for some other listings potentially of this item, but I would say, another thing to note on this is the sales rank is going up. So this item is overpriced now. And since it's overpriced, the sales velocity is going to naturally slow down. Good news is there's not that many sellers. So, one thing to note about this is, like, as Amazon's going in and out of stock, that these sellers are all going out. But to prove my point about Amazon not sharing the buy box is, you see these, like, very consistent sellers, and then something happened here. Maybe they decided to share the buy box where these sellers were dropping out. But for the most part, they're not sharing the buy box. Or the price is just not low enough, is really what it could be. So I wouldn't expect Amazon to share this buy box with me. I would say the only way that I'm going to sell it is if I get in really quick and get out. Now, again, you don't have a crystal ball. It could be Amazon's last run at this. They could just be done with the listing. So if they're done with the listing and you get in now before other sellers jump on, like I said, I have a 90-day, like, I don't like to see Amazon on that for 90 days. Some other sellers might say the same thing. And so for the higher risk takers, they could jump in early, get a higher price point and that kind of stuff. The price is not stable on this. In my opinion, it's kind of Well, no, it's pretty stable. That's okay. I mean, it's dropping, definitely drops whenever Amazon's in, but so that's the risk. You know, so one thing that you could do if you did buy it, because you see Amazon like jumping in, jumping out, is that just because Amazon jumps in doesn't mean you go, oh, I need to lower my price. Like you could wait a second and then they'll go out and then they're going to come back in and then so but again you don't know how many they're going to have. So good stuff, good ASIN. All right, which other, let's do another, I'm going to do another wholesale item and I want to do one that's not seasonal. Let's go to garden and outdoor. We got spring coming up, so some garden and outdoor stuff is going to be picking up. So garden and outdoor will spike in the summer depending on the item, like a lawnmower or something like that. Um, but that doesn't mean it won't sell at all. Like I live in the South where we don't get snow. It gets cold, but we don't get snow. So like we still go outside a lot. There's still some lawn stuff to do. There's still things to happen. So let's look at some bigger items. Let's look at some garden sculptures. Let's see what we can find here. I'm not going to source. I'm just gonna check some stuff out. Look at some heavier items. That looks cool. So I'm going to pretend that I have a wholesale account with this company. Again, wholesale, for those of you not in wholesale, if you haven't joined, I highly recommend jumping in and doing our wholesale course that we got. It's actually a group, not a course. We got a lot of great data going on, and yeah, so we talk about this type of stuff. So what we're pretending is we're coming to the table with, we have a wholesale account with this company. We have the price list. We know our cost. Now we're analyzing how much do I buy. Okay, there's a case, let's call it a case count of 12. We have to buy a minimum of 12. We're in industrial and scientific, that's okay. And let's say our cost is 13 bucks. That would be fairly realistic for wholesale. Let's say we got like a really awesome account doing 74%. That's cool. All right, so we're going to analyze this. I think I got a question here. Yes, the video will be available later, Pedro. Let me close that out. Cool. I'll keep the questions coming. So one great thing about this one is that there is a stable price. If there were multiple FBA sellers, which I think this is just like one, I'm pretty sure it's the store owner, Mark and Margot. Yeah, so sold by Mark and Margot, made by, manufactured by Mark and Margot. That means that nobody's getting a wholesale account with this company because the brand owner is the seller. So more than likely you're not going to. You can try. But let's just pretend that we do have the wholesale account and that there's 2 sellers on here and we're going to be the third. Okay. Now again, this sales rank up here is the snapshot, that BSR, that is the snapshot rank. And so as we're looking at the snapshot rank, again, what we want to know is what's the average. So AZ Insight's pretty cool. They grab the historical sales data up here. So they're showing us our average 30-day, average 90-day rank. Now, there's definitely a spike here, guys. Christmas time, this was a gift. Great little gift item. So you got to be mindful when you're looking at that average 90-day, take into consideration when you're looking at it, and was there a recent dip in sales rank or a spike in sales velocity? I use those interchangeably. So you want to be mindful of that and say like, okay, what's the season I'm going into? I'm going into spring. Can I expect some dips? So I clicked on a year's worth of data. And I'm gonna look at, let's look at the next like 3 months. So you can see there's a little spike in May in sales. This thing does really well. I love seeing these consistent prices. Typically with this, what that would mean if you're competing with a bunch of other sellers is that there's a MAP, minimum advertised price, that's maintaining that low or that stable price point where it's just never going to change. It's also nice to see not a bunch of sellers coming in and out of it. So this is a really stable listing. The reason this listing is stable is because the brand owner is the one on it. No one else can jump on this listing. So if this motivates you to go and create your own listings and have your own stable pricing, and you're in control of it for the most part. There's always some black hat stuff that can happen, but if you're in control of it, this is what can happen, right? Like you can have something that just blows it out of the water. But again, if this is wholesale, this is a slam dunk. This is awesome. Typically this is like when there's multiple FBA sellers, you're gonna, again, unless that map is being policed, you can definitely have a lot of wavering price points, right? Because everybody will take a different ROI. So if we wanted to buy this, let's say we wanted to buy, again, 2 months of inventory or something like that. We can look at, what is the average 30-day, because that 30-day is pretty good chance of like, okay, that looks right. So let's double click that and jump out of it. So this last 30 days looks pretty similar to this last year over here, right? So let's just go with the last 30-day rank is what I'm gonna do. And we'll use that 2272 in industrial and scientific. That's a really low rank. 690, that's pretty good. So if, again, what we would do if we wanted to order a 30-day supply, 690, if there's 2 sellers, we come in as the third. 690 divided by 3 is 230. So in theory, again, that would be our amount. So let's say we had to order them in case counts of 12, 230 units, which would be our share of the sales, divided by 12. That's 19 cases, 19.16. So if we got 12 cases times 19, we'd buy 228 units. And you could ship them to my prep center. Or straight to Amazon, whichever. That'd be cool if they went straight to Amazon. Okay. Let's see. Anything else, guys? If y'all got any more ASINs, I'm just going to keep rolling with it and analyzing Keepa. Let me see if there's anything else here that we want to look at. So again, you got like the main features here that I'm looking at: buy box. Buy box is the main thing I'm concerned about. Sales rank, number of sellers. Those are the main deals there. All right, let's see. Did I miss yours? Let me see, make sure I did this one. Oh. Yeah, okay, all right. Just wanted to make sure I grabbed that one. Sugar bale. What happened to the BSR data stream on this one? Let's see what happened. Ooh, no data. No data. Not available. So there is a crazy thing where sometimes the data just stops being grabbed. I've got a few private label products, kind of like hodgepodge private label products that I've done that for some reason Amazon's never reported the sales rank. So this is on an Amazon side where they're not grabbing the rank. Like it's just not ranking for some reason. Maybe it's something broken in their system or whatever. So you can see that they were at one point capturing the data. So with it, May of last year they were. It was actually being grabbed for a long time, and then it just stopped. Amazon was on this listing, the sales rank was there, and then it went away. So this is actually kind of powerful because even though it went away, doesn't mean that there's no sales. It just means that it's gone. And so this is actually, you know, again, like it doesn't look like anything really changed on this listing. It just looks like it's just not being grabbed. So what I would do is I would look at the other variations like these, and I would see, is the rank there? So what category are we in? We're in, looks like the rank is being, so that's in kitchen and dining. Let's check out these variations. It looks like some of the variations are being grabbed, that the rank is being grabbed, and it looks like some of them they're not. So what could have happened here, you see how the sales rank is 326,000 on birthday, brooch, and doily. The sales rank is there. On the burlap, flowers, and scallops, it is not. So the question is why? It could be not price, probably the way that they were added to the listing, possibly. But here's something that's really interesting, is that if you look at the number of reviews, the review percentage, that burlap is the one that has 70% of the reviews. There's not a lot of reviews on this listing, so it's kind of hard to go with that. But, you know, in the last year, that burlap has, I think it's like, I think he's got a year's worth of data that he's grabbing. That burlap has 7 reviews. So with no rank, that tells me that this one is the one that blows it out of the water, and I would buy it. And it could not be moving because it's priced at $30. And I don't know what the cost is on something like this, but a silicone birthday mat definitely doesn't sell for $30. So if you could buy this for 5 and sell it for 15, I'd get it. You know, get it, test it, see how it does. And that is some like advanced Keepa stuff where you're like, okay, there's no rank at all. And so let me see if I can open this up in the new, uh-oh. There we are. So that's more advanced where you're going off of like past data and you're assuming that, hey, it's because it's got most of the reviews that it is going to sell. For some reason, Amazon's just not reporting it. And that's a huge advantage if you can determine that, figure that out. There's a few listings that I sell wholesale that used to have the rank like this. And the rank disappeared and no one will touch it because no one has a clue how well it's going to do. So the only way to figure that out is to buy a couple items and send them in and test it. That's really it. So you can see that there's a few offers coming in and out of here, but not a lot. Again, it's priced way too high. So if we look back at the data here, when it was priced at $14.45, it was doing well. It was selling decently. I mean, it's not like breaking down walls, but you can see that there were a lot of sellers at one point because there was all the data there, right? So when you don't have the data, you got to kind of become detective and figure out what happened. Why did the data go away? Like right here, in this window of time, the sales rank was decent in the 60,000, 70, 80, it's jumping up and down. But it got a lot worse because Amazon went out, price went from $14.40 to $29. It doubled. So naturally that price or that sales velocity is going to slow down because the price is way up. And so as that price stayed high, even though the number of sellers were there was inventory. As that price stayed high, that sales velocity was just really low. So the only reason this item slowed down is because price went up. And the only reason it's really not selling now is because Amazon, for whatever reason, took away the rank. I don't know why. If somebody knows why they take away the rank, let me know. But again, if I stumbled on this, that's kind of like playing detective. I'd definitely buy it and test a few units and see how it would do. This is a really cheap unit. Good one, David. Good, Asen. So David, did I answer all the questions on that one? Let me know if I did or not, if you are still here hanging out. So Tony said the rank can stop tracking when the title gets changed. So that's possible if the rank. See, I don't know how accurate that is though, because I've on my private label, that could be true like in some instances, but my ASINs that I sell, like they were never grabbed, like from day one. Keepa never picked them up. So I don't know. All right, so Christina asked, what are the two extensions I'm using above Keepa? I am using AZ Insight right here, and then this is Azon Tracker Pro. Azon Tracker Pro pushes data to Google Sheets, and AZ Insight is a calculator, variation checker, stock checker, and a lot of other stuff too. They've got a ton of features. So go click on our affiliate link. That'd be awesome. It's in our Facebook group. If you just go to our free Facebook group, search AZ Insight, you'll see our little spiel about AZ Insight. Really great tool. All right, David, glad I could help. Some other questions. Why do some charts have a ton of buy box markers while others only have a few? I think that's just the reporting, Levi. I really, remember, Keepa's not creating this data. They're grabbing it from Amazon, right? So because they're grabbing it from Amazon, they can't, if Amazon's reporting things, then they can grab it. If they're not reporting things, then they can't grab it. So that's my understanding of Keepa, at least. So it's only what Amazon puts out. With ASIN Zen, do you find the monthly sales estimate fairly accurate? I don't really use their monthly sales. ASIN Zen is not a, the sales rank dips, if that's what you're referring to. I don't go off of that. I go off of the sales velocity. I use this tool like Jungle Scout to figure out the velocity and not look at I don't count dips on the chart. All right, Tony, I'm gonna email Keepa and post the results. Awesome, thank you, Tony. That'd be great. Brian asked, with AZ Insight, do you find the monthly? Oh, I just answered that. Sorry. Moyen, it was ASIN Tracker Pro. I'll type it in here. Azon Tracker Pro and AZ Insight. Again, you can find some links to those in our Facebook group. I'd love for you to use those. That would be super appreciated. All right, let's do one more. And I think I had on here that I was going to do this for an hour and a half. That's a long time to do this. When you are just slamming it out, this data can kind of just fry your brain after a little while. Let's go do some random stuff. Packaging and shipping supplies. This is all relevant to us. So we're in Amazon storefront. Let's see. Let's do some bubble pack supplies. I probably should actually find another one that's moving like relatively slow, because we've been looking at like some really fast moving products. This one's not terrible. Okay, first inclination of this, Amazon's on it, $11.98, they never get off. This new count offer, that's kind of odd how it's just like hovering around 20, 21. That could be the new count offer. You know, Amazon has their, like, whenever they're, let's see, stock checker. Sometimes they have their warehouse deals, but it could be different brands coming in here, coming in and out. So you can see Amazon has over 1,000. Um, More than likely, they're not sharing the buy box, guys. I would not get this. I just don't compete with Amazon like that. One thing to note, like, we haven't really seen this much. You see how it was like 48 people and then boop, no more. Something happened there with all of those sellers where it could be that the brand came in and said, hey, these are not authorized sellers and get them off. And so maybe they didn't make the cut, or they got gated from the brand. Again, that's something that could happen. Maybe there's an IP violation, whatever. So that's what that kind of dip looks like whenever you see that. So if you're looking for like suspected IP complaints, or not suspected, but like potential, I guess, where, you know, you're looking at, let's say you're looking at like a really fancy purse or a really high-end brand, and you're like, oh, I wonder if there's an IP complaint here. Well, you know, if there's a big dip like that, it could have been an IP complaint. But again, Amazon's on it, so unless I could buy this again for like 100% ROI, I'm not gonna play. All right, let's keep looking around. If y'all want to throw one more ace in my way, that would be fine. And then after that, I'm gonna wrap it up. Kind of the question here. ASINs also has Keepa info. So that's their own chart. It's not a Keepa chart that they're using up there at the top. That's their own chart. I still like to use Keepa. Yes. So standalone Keepa is what I like to use. Because that, like I said, that's their own chart. Let's see. What's an item that would be fun to do? You know, it's Mardi Gras. Anybody going to a Mardi Gras parade? I live in Louisiana. Right, I'm about an hour out of New Orleans. I don't go to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. There's not much good that can happen there. If any of you've ever gone to Mardi Gras New Orleans, you need to like throw a hand up and just like let me know. Tell me if you had a good time. Because I'm personally not the biggest fan of Mardi Gras New Orleans. I also have 2 kids. So actually, let me see if they sell these. Oh, Levi's in Mississippi. Oh, they don't have it. So I was hoping that they had these ladder stands. So what we do with our children for Mardi Gras is, you know, on the top of the ladder, if you ever seen like a regular like aluminum ladder, right at the top it says like "Do not stand." Well, what we do in the South is we buy these fancy little seats. Let me see if I can show you a picture of them. We buy these fancy little seats. Parade ladder. And this is what it looks like. So we actually like use this top part as, you know, a spot for our children. And man, why is it not zooming in there? There we go. So there's these little boxes. Anybody want to go private label these? They'll sell the heck out of them on Amazon. And that's what we do. We like bolt our kids into the top part of the ladder where it says "Don't put any adults." And then we stand there over our kids and make sure that the beads don't hit them in the face, because it hurts to get hit with beads. So welcome to the South. All right, so they don't have it. I gotta have fun doing this, guys. If you can't have fun looking at Keepa, where can you have fun, right? I mean, my goodness. So Mardi Gras stuff, this is a great little tip for all of you doing wholesale. Seasonal can be an absolute complete win you know, I do a lot of seasonal. I see that Ace and David, I'm going to jump on it. Um, but anyways, Mardi Gras, all the seasons, if you want to, you know, figure out what, um, you know, what seasons are out there, like Mardi Gras is a New Orleans thing. I would bet like New York or the Northeast or the Midwest, whatever, there's these like very niche holidays where when you can find out what those holidays are, people are going to go to Amazon and look for that shirt or look for that thing. Like this is a table skirt. All it is just special colors, bags. But look at the sales rank on these things. Look at this cup. It's just a cup selling for 40 bucks. My goodness, that's ridiculous. $40 cup. Let's just see what this thing's doing. Make 7,000 in kitchen. That's awesome. Okay, so there's a lot of, yeah, never mind. Not as exciting. There's a lot of variations, and I know that in this category, all the variations are fed into the parent ASIN. So not as exciting, but if you wanted to sell this Pour Me Something Mr. Swig cup, you could. And there's only one seller, but I think it's the brand owner. It is Swig Life. Yeah, it is the brand owner. I actually used to sell this brand, but it wasn't very good. So what you would do is look at, again, how many variations does it have? This is going to be a tough one to figure out because there's, you know, it's a seasonal item with a lot of variations. And so what I would do for this, and this is how you can build up your seasonal game, is just test. You test this season, send in a case, 2 cases, 3 cases, whatever you're comfortable with, and test those units out. If you sell through them in like 3 days, then you need next season, or if you can, you know, punch one more order out before the season's up, then do that. But next season, you would order a lot more. And so you're actually gathering your own data that really is difficult to figure out with the limited data that we have on Amazon. I see that my connection's unstable, so hopefully you all can hear me okay. All right, so let me know if y'all could hear that story. I'm gonna do this last ASIN here from David, and we're gonna call it a day. I think David wins the award. Uh-oh, what happened, David? Where did the ASIN go? That was weird. I don't know what happened. David wins the award of most ASINs supplied. Thank you, David. Keeping us busy. Appreciate that. Ready, fire, aim. All right, so let's look at this one. David, tell me the details. Give me the deets, man, of this one. Let's say this is probably arbitrage, maybe from Marshall's or some other discount store. You find 2 of them. Do I buy it? Absolutely. Number of sellers are decreasing right here, so it's gone from 6 down to 2. And sales rank is pretty consistent. For whatever reason, from Christmas to, could be because of the price, yeah. So the price was way up. Went down to $29.99. Sales happened, and then the price went back up. And then it went down. So as long as that price is staying down around that 26 range, $29 range, you'll get some sales. That threshold where it stops is around that $40 range. So seasonal for winter retail arbitrage. Yeah. So the good news about this is that it sells all throughout the year. You know, it is a winter, like it definitely dipped during Christmas over here. But I mean, I would say that it's pretty consistent. Definitely in the summer months, it slows down some for sure. And you'll peck away a few sales here or there. You know, if this was RA and you, again, stumbled across 2 of them, probably the max I would get of these is like 5 or 10. Again, you know, that variable of like, you see just how this new seller, the new offer count is just all over the place. You know, that could definitely affect you. Good. Sells well in a combo with some other candles. Yeah, I could totally see that. For sure. So awesome. Well, good stuff. Let me know if y'all have any more questions before I end the recording. And this recording will be in the Facebook group. And I'm going to be posting a few of our, you know, all of our groups. If you want to check us out in the meantime while this is loading up, FBAinsiders.co is our website. We have retail arbitrage groups there. We have OA lists, wholesale groups, all the fun stuff. And then a lot of other little goodies in our store. So my pleasure. Thank y'all so much for all jumping on. Thanks for jumping on, you know, sharing all the ASINs and all the fun stuff. Very good. All right. Yeah, I'll definitely be loading this in the group. So it's gonna have to convert, and then I'll upload it. You know, I'll actually upload it to YouTube and then all the things, you know, get it out there. So awesome, guys. Thanks for jumping on. Happy Valentine's Day. All of you have a wonderful night. We're going to a parade tonight, and maybe I'll post a photo. Actually, I will. In the free group tonight, I'll post a photo of my kids in the ladder. So that way there's my proof of I'm a true Cajun man. All right. It's been very fun. Y'all have a good day. Bye.